See Columbus, Ohio, fraud investigators. If you go to the government assisted housing areas, you will find that most of the housing is Somalians. I would say about 80% of the government assisted housing in Columbus is occupied by Somalians. And the parking lot is occupied with a whole bunch of brand new cars. And the women walking around have designer purses with EBT cards, and they have Apple iPhones stuck up in their hijabs. Yeah. And then go to the businesses that are owned by the men. Because see, what happens is when you have a restaurant or when you have a little corner store and you have a couple of wives and you only have to claim one, then that means the other wives get EBT cards, and you can use those EBT cards to buy food for your store or your restaurant. Yeah. Or what you can do is you can get a home health aid company. And then you only hire Somalians to work the home health aid. And what you do is you just make sure their paperwork looks right. It don't have to be right, but you just make sure it looks right. And then you send them off for those home health aid jobs. Y'all don't want to talk about fraud.
So let me get this straight. Y'all calling Trump a racist for holding these Somalians accountable, cheating the system, and 88% of them are on welfare. So that means us hardworking Americans getting all these taxes taken out of our check. And 88% of these Somalians are using them. What's wrong with y'all? Then I'm going to try to make this make sense. You got the girl, Ilhan Omar, whatever her name is. She's here sending out a message to other Somalians, speaking in her native language. And she keeps saying, our country, referring to Somalia. But she's in the United States and she's in the office. She works for the government. She is a politician. What kind of shit is this? You would never see an American go to another country, get in office, refer to our country, speaking about America in that country. I hope I made sense. Are y'all cooked? Not to mention, Tim Walz is running Minnesota as governor. Like, what happened to our country, bro? Like, this shit is crazy, bro. It's so bad that I'm seeing Democrats who don't even like Trump, and they're like, I actually agree with him on this. I don't like him. I still think he's a dickhead, but I agree with him on this. And then let's play a game of switch the roles. Put any other president in Trump's place right now, taking a stand on all of this madness that's happening. And y'all would not have an issue with it. Y'all only mad because it's Trump. Y'all soft, y'all don't like his delivery. And a lot of y'all wish y'all had the balls to, stand on business like that. You wish you can put your opinion out there like that, but you're too scared to. So Trump rubs you the wrong way because you know your bitch ass can't do it.
When I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes, but this beautiful place. And I see these people ripping it off. And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look into that, Scott. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars. And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. They came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys pulling up today. Look, I don't know about the rest of you guys. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but this right here is exactly why I voted the way I did. Because for years, we've watched people pour into our country, take advantage of the system Americans paid for and paid into, and then get wrapped in the blanket of protection from the Democratic Party that treats our generosity like an endless credit line. And let's be real. Democratic immigration policy has become one giant invitation to chaos. Minnesota is the perfect example of that. The state has taken in more than 100,000 refugees since the 90s, one of the highest per capita rates in the country. Meanwhile, the Minneapolis-St. Paul region has had multiple documented cases of welfare fraud rings, identity theft operations, international money transfers flagged for suspicious activity. And to add to that, the Feeding Our Future scandal with over $250 million in taxpayer money stolen, the largest pandemic-era fraud case in the nation. And somehow, the people in charge still say, hey, nothing to see here. This isn't compassion. This isn't equity. This is policy failure on a historic scale. And yet Democrats treat anyone who points out the obvious like they're the problem. But I'll tell you what the real problem is. Political party that sees immigration not as national security, not as economic policy, but as a permanent voter replenishment program. Some would call it white genocide. Meanwhile, the average American is sitting here saying, why are my taxes going up? Why are my schools overcrowded? Why are, my neighborhoods changing without my consent? Why is my country bending over backwards for people who just got here while ignoring citizens who've been here for generations? If you've had that thought, you're not crazy. You're paying attention to what's going on. You're not one of those people with their heads in the sand. This is what happens when a party is more committed to ideology than sovereignty. When protecting the system matters less than protecting the people abusing it. When maintaining power matters more than maintaining the country. And that's why the people voted for President Trump. Not because they're angry, but because they are awake. Hit that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel. There's more to get into. Let's go.
Donald Trump, what he said has to be the biggest eye-opener for all of the Somali expats living in the West. Put things to perspective. I'm a Somali, British-born Somali. Grew up in the UK, London to be precise. And I moved to Hargeisa about 1.5 years ago. And it was the best decision I've ever made. Because I've been living here, I'm stress-free. I go about my day. No one says anything to me. This is my country, right? At the end of the day, this is my country. And this is the thing about us immigrants. We get caught up in building other people's countries. If I was an American, I would be straight away thinking about how to get back to Somalia, Somaliland, wherever you come from. Why? Because how are you contributing to a country that sees you that badly? And by the way, Donald Trump is the only one who's actually vocal about it. There's others that think the same thing. That's why I say the least that you can do is build up your own country. And I'm not saying go into politics. You're contributing to your country just by living there. I would just advise my Somali American brothers and sisters, especially those living in Minnesota. Invest in your own land. Invest in your own country. Don't waste your efforts on pleasing another man and another country.
I actually second his sentiment. Seriously, I second this man's sentiment. Go on back to Somalia, build your own nation up. And the thing is that these folks aren't contributing here, especially when 88% of them are living off the government dime. When 88% are on the government dole, these people are not net positives. They're actually net negatives. These people actually take from society. They offer very little to society. Let's just keep it a buck. So I'm actually with this guy. What are your thoughts?
I've been here for 38 years, and I cannot articulate how disappointed I am in we the people that we allow this to fall so easily. Having 38 years ago, because I bought into it, yes, I wanted to come here. 38 years later, after being here and realizing how it's more fast, it's more smokes and mirrors, I am ready to leave. I don't I can't financially leave right now, but the first opportunity financially that I can get, I am leaving. And I'm leaving on principle because I feel that if I, as an immigrant, remain in a fascist country.
Who's willing to buy her ticket? Who's willing to chip in to get this lady a ticket up out of here? She said she wants to leave, but she can't afford to do so. Who's with me? I don't know who this lady is, but can we figure out a way to piece some money together so we can get her a plane ticket? And we'll give her a little bit of spending money to get up out of here. If you feel this way, I don't have a problem with it. Who's with me?
Well, it's no more. 245D has been put on a moratorium in the state of Minnesota for 2 years, starting January 2026. All the applications who are not approved by January of 2026 will be canceled. In 2 years, they will review and see if they will reopen. The 245D is the waiver program in Minnesota. It basically includes a lot of programs. So if you have submitted an application, the application will be canceled. And you can try it again in 2 years when it reopens. If you have not submitted an application, I would suggest you go look for another business, because 245D, or the waiver program in the state of Minnesota, has been put on moratorium. Don't be sad. There are many opportunities out there if you would like to provide caring services.
So I want you guys to understand what this dude is saying. What he's saying is that the money spigot is being cut off. Minnesota 245D basically refers to the Minnesota statute chapter 245, which is a very large section of Minnesota law that governs human service programs, especially programs relating to mental health, chemical dependency, child and family services, disability services, licensings for human services programs, so forth and so on, right? This is basically the regulatory backbone for how Minnesota runs and oversees many state-funded care and treatment programs. So what these people have been doing, they've been starting these businesses under this particular statute, and they're using it to fraudulently bill for services that they're not actually providing. It's been a grift. These people have learned the game. It's people like this guy here, allegedly. I don't want to accuse this guy because I'm just gonna say allegedly. This guy has been teaching people how to start these institutions. I would also assume that he's also teaching people how to game the system as well. And the money spigot is being cut off. Simple as that. I voted for this.
Mr. President, thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying.
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other.
President does not mince words. He does not, and I appreciate it.
Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with, go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth.
Now, I got a question for you guys. Ilhan Omar came over here, nothing. Actually negative net worth. Today, she sits with a net worth of $30 million, but all she does is talk trash about the United States of America. Only in America can one start with a negative net worth and within a span of about 30 years, find their way into wealth. This lady's worth $30 million. She's worth more than the people that she claims to hate. You know, she's always talking about white people. The white man is the problem. But one, she's married to one. And two, some kind of way in this country, quote unquote, you know, because of the in place or, you know, some kind of way she's garnered $30 million. It's crazy.
I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. But what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And you have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. This is not the people living in Minnesota. And she's a disaster. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople because they don't represent the interests of our country.
I'm in 100% agreement with the president here. I'm in 100% agreement with him and with everything that he said right here. But in case you forgot how we got here, I want you to check this young lady out here.
The $1 billion welfare fraud scandal in Minnesota was enabled by DEI. Let me explain. Between 2020 and now, federal prosecutors say that more than $1 billion was stolen from Minnesota's social service programs and funneled to fraudulent nonprofits like Feeding Our Future. These organizations claim services for tens of thousands of children who didn't exist. Instead, taxpayer dollars went to funding luxury houses, high-end cars, jewelry, overseas real estate projects, and worst of all, Al-Shabaab, an Islamist terrorist group in Somalia. Now, new reporting shows that the Minnesota Department of Education officials noticed red flags early. They questioned invoices that made no mathematical sense. They noticed new feeding centers were registered in strip malls that were basically empty. They saw providers claiming to serve more meals than there were children living in entire zip codes. And every time they tried to investigate, they were hit with the same accusation. If you expose this, it's racist. That's because Feeding Our Future was run by American citizens of Somali heritage. When the state began scrutinizing their applications, the organization filed a discrimination complaint with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights and later sued the Department of Education, accusing it of racial bias and discrimination. Feeding Our Future weaponized DEI by telling the Minnesota Department of Education that failing to promptly approve new applicants from minority-owned businesses would result in a lawsuit featuring accusations of racism that would be sprawled across the news. In the post-George Floyd climate, that threat carried enormous political power. So agencies backed off, approvals kept flowing, and the fraud exploded. Most of the people charged in this fraud are a tiny fraction of Minnesota's Somali community, which is now stuck with the stigma created by a small group of offenders and a state government too scared to enforce basic rules. Minnesota is now shutting down programs, launching audits, and trying to rebuild oversight that should never have collapsed in the first place. What happened wasn't just fraud. It was fraud that thrived because people put the desire to prop up diversity, equity, and inclusion over reality. And in the end, the taxpayers and residents of Minnesota are the real losers.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get out of here. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. As always, keep God first, stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so